Start with a Flea Flicker to open up the night. And he connects with Galladay.
Sup, everyone. Welcome back to the Flea Flicker with Joey D and Timmy B. This week we only have two football games, but they're rather important as they are the conference champions. Joey D, how are you doing today, my friend?
Yo, we're doing well. It is a new day in Philadelphia. It's I don't know what to think really, so we'll see. But I'm feeling good. I've had a good week. It's been nice. Week's winding down. Ready for some football though.
Absolutely, and we're just gonna hop right in, Joe. And I know I texted you when they made that hire that I was like, somehow the Eagles still make it into our playoff episodes here with the hiring of Nick Sirianni. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. Haven't heard his name yet. So Nick Sirianni, the Colts offensive coordinator, which is hiring today at the time of recording on Thursday. This video is going to come out on Saturday, obviously. So we'll find out more about him and maybe some potential coaches coming this way. But Joe, I think this is, I don't want to say he's the perfect guy, but it's like kind of like a perfect hire where in my eyes, if they hired somebody with more experience, like a Todd Bowles or somebody who was a head coach before, to me, that thinks that the front office is like, okay, we're a Super Bowl team, just had a bad year. Like we're ready to win with an experienced guy. Whereas this guy, it's kind of like the Doug Peterson hire. It's like, all right, give him a year or two to breathe. And, then we'll kind of focus on being that 11-5, 12-4 dominant team that the city of Philadelphia is used to. Obviously, a great guy under Frank Reich, where that's when Carson Wentz had his MVP season, or almost MVP season, but playing like that MVP level. He was under Frank Reich for the last 3 years. The Colts offense, too, very balanced. Like we've seen games when he was offensive coordinator where the quarterback took over, throw for 400 yards and a couple of touchdowns. And we saw games where the running game was dominant. So it's a very balanced offense and very schematic on depending on who your opponent is. So those are my thoughts. I like the hire. I'm excited to see what he can do with those offensive weapons. I mean, with Miles Sanders, a healthy Jalen Reagor, whoever the quarterback is, and maybe whoever you guys get in the draft and free agency. So those are my thoughts. But Joe, you're the Eagles fan. You just told me before we hit the record button, you don't have too many thoughts. But I mean, you said it's a new day in Philadelphia. It has to feel good to finally have a head coach. But what are some of your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad we finally wrapped up the search. And with a lot of the big names that were out there, I just didn't like them. Josh McDaniels, Todd Bowles, guys like that. They just did not really give me much confidence. So I'm glad we did not get one of the guys I did not want, because there wasn't, right now with, the way the available head coaching options are, there wasn't really anybody that stood out to me as like I felt really strongly about or really wanted. Like, in 2013 when we got Chip Kelly, that was the guy I wanted and I was thrilled, and that went terrible. This reminds me a little bit more of the Doug Peterson hiring, where a couple other coaches, the bigger names got hired already. And, we went with a little bit more of a no-name guy who ended up having success. And that's also the same that happened with Andy Reid. So, it's encouraging in that regard. And like you said, he's a young guy, and I hope that they give him, I'll be interested to see what his contract looks like and see what kind of flexibility they give him moving forward, because there are a lot of reports out there that after Doug Peterson's first year, when the Eagles went 7-9, they actually interviewed Jim Shorts in the offseason to potentially be the head coach. And, obviously that didn't end up happening, and we won the Super Bowl the next year. But it gives you an idea of the, like they did not have faith in Doug Peterson, after a 7-9 season as a rookie head coach, a rookie quarterback. And then, the next year going to the Super Bowl. So, I mean, that's an example of kind of the front office not really having faith and having a short leash when it comes to head coaches, and a little bit of the issues that kind of led to Doug Peterson's departure. So that's, my biggest concern. He has a okay year, and then they kind of go or try to go in another direction because they're just not sold when we haven't seen him really get a fair shake. But outside of that, I like that he's not exactly a retread of, Doug Peterson coming from the Andy Reid tree. I mean, he did coach with the Chiefs for a couple of years, and then the Chargers, and then the Colts last few seasons. Frank Reich, has a lot of really good things to say about him. And like you said, Frank Reich was the offensive coordinator when Carson had his best year. So to me, this is a sign that Carson is coming back and going to be the starter most likely. That's my initial impression off of it. that could obviously change for a number of reasons. I've heard a lot of good reports just about this guy having high energy. Just very relatable to the players. I watched a video of him that Bleacher Report put out today of him when he was mic'd up at the Colts last year. Just seems like a very personable guy. But he apparently can also be intense and stern, a little bit more stern than I think Doug Peterson has been, as much as Doug Peterson kind of like him in the fact that he's very relatable to the players, and that emotional intelligence is what the Eagles front office kind of talked about a lot when we initially hired him. So I'll be really interested to kind of read some more reports about him. Like I said, I don't know much about him. I had not heard of this guy before yesterday. Except for maybe in passing, but never really thought much of him. Nick Sirianni. So, I think so, I'm hoping for the best. We'll see what happens. But some encouraging signs. It'll be interesting to see the coaching staff he puts together. He has spoken very highly of Anthony Lynn, who was just the Chargers head coach and got let go. So, if he was to bring him on board, as offensive coordinator or, running backs coach, something like that, I'd feel good about that. So we'll see. It just really depends. I'm intrigued, cautiously optimistic, but it's also like, I feel bad for Eric Bieniemy. I don't get this, this is a guy who wasn't calling plays. We know for a fact he's not calling plays. Frank Reich calls the plays and he gets the head coaching job. And that's been one of the kind of knocks on Eric Bieniemy in terms of, why maybe he's not getting these opportunities, because he's not the one calling the plays. But, it's not really an excuse. So, it definitely seems like something's up there. I don't know. It's frustrating. I'm sure as a fan of him.
Yeah. So. But if you look on the flip side of that, Joe, is that, he's on the Chiefs and he's successful, and you don't want to be that team that's waiting for Bieniemy and then you're the last team standing, right, trying to find a head coach. And then you're stuck trying to get maybe like a Josh McDaniels or, not a popular candidate. Plus, we don't know what Bieniemy is thinking. I'm sure he loves these interviews and he would love to be a head coach. But when you have Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, not saying you don't have to do a lot of coaching, but it sure is sweet, always going 14-2 every year.
Right, right.
So we'll see where he goes. Because if I was him, I'd be like, you know what? This is great.
Why leave unless it's the perfect opportunity?
Right. Yeah. And those are my thoughts as well. But hey, you said, Joe, a kind of guy where no name, no one knew about. Winter of 2008, Ravens hired this guy named John Harbaugh, and see how it worked out for us. He's still our coach, so great success. Hopefully he does well. Very excited to see what the Eagles do and the staff that you said he'd be putting around. And then I don't know if you saw the Lions' new head coach Dan Campbell. I don't know if you saw his press conference today, but that was pretty electric. It kind of made me want to pick the Lions to go 11-5 next year. Just from that alone. And wow. I think that's exactly the type of coach and the type of energy the Lions need, Joe, because you said that they were average, and there's no denying they have talent on their team. They just need to put it together and play for second place as long as Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback of the Packers. But any thoughts on that hiring as well?
I like it. I've heard very good things about Dan Campbell for a while now. I think he got some interviews last year. I think wasn't he the Dolphins interim head coach as well at one point?
Yeah, and I think he went like 4-7 or 4-6 or something. He won some games for a team that wasn't winning games.
Right. Yeah. No, I've kind of been a fan of his since then. Kind of followed him a little bit, and just that's who he is. That high energy guy. Very intense. Leader of men. So we'll see how he does it with Detroit. But like you said, with that press conference, just makes you want to run through a brick wall.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see what he can do in Detroit as well. And we'll talk about some other head coaching hires as they happen and, for our off-season mode. And Joe, now it's time to hop into the conference championship games for the weekend. And I have a question for you that I was going to ask the other day, but this is more fitting. So we have the Bucs and the Packers and the Chiefs and the Bills. Obviously, the Chiefs and the Bills are 1-2 in the AFC. No doubt about it. They were the two best teams in the AFC this year. And probably the same for the Bucs Packs. I know the Bucs are the 5 seed, but you could I mean, they were a couple of games away from being the 2 seed with the Saints. I mean, and in the last month and a half of the season, the Packers and the Buccaneers are obviously the 2 best teams in the NFC. So are you more of a fan of this, like a nice 1-2 matchup and best versus best? Or are you kind of disappointed, where it's like, hey, like, there's 7 teams in the playoffs. So like, let's see like the 3 seed versus the 6 seed, or the 3 seed versus 7 seed. So like, where are you on terms of like best versus best? Or, I would really like to have seen like that hot Browns team, play in the AFC
Right.
Championship. So where are you kind of on that?
I mean, I love this matchup. I mean, like you said, it's the 2 best teams versus 2 best teams in each conference, and I'm just hoping that it's a more exciting game than kind of the last weekend's games. I just don't really feel like any of them really had me like on the edge of my seat most of it. In terms of being like a high scoring game, and these both have the potential for that. So that's what I'm really looking forward to. I mean, these are probably the 4 best offenses as well. So there's a lot of really, really fun storylines, really cool matchups here. I'm really excited for it. This, I wouldn't want a team like the Rams here right now,
Right.
or, I'm trying to think like who's the 7th seed in the AFC?
The Colts, you wouldn't have Nick Sirianni right now if they were here.
I'm forgetting. Oh, the Titans. Well, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I would have been all right with the Colts. Like, I guess like you said, I wouldn't have loved to see the Browns in the AFC Championship when, there's the Chiefs and the Bills right now. Although I would have rather seen the Browns and the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like 50-50. I love that it's the two best in each conference, more or less, and Brady Rogers, Allen Mahomes. But then part of me, and this maybe could be because like the AFC and NFC weren't as strong this year. Normally, I'm a fan of like the craziness and thinking of like a March Madness. It's like it's always more fun when it's not just like Duke, Kansas, Kentucky, and like Gonzaga, like all number 1 seeds.
Yeah.
It's like when we went to the Final Four, Joe, South Carolina, we were 7 seed, and like nobody expected us to be there. It was a lot of fun. Like give me like the 7 seed, give me like 9 seed Wichita State. So I mean that's a lot of fun, and that's kind of like that's why we have so many teams, and that's why we do this. But then on the flip side, I'm kind of like, well, we got the 2 best teams. We got Mahomes and Allen, and it's not like, oh man, like any Super Bowl matchup is going to be great. Where it's like if it was like the Browns or like the Colts or maybe the Rams, it's kind of like, I do not want to see like Saints versus Colts in the Super Bowl. This could be like so.
Well, at least the Bucks and the Bills have both not been. They weren't here last year. So that's different, at least compared to the Chiefs, who obviously won it all last year, and the Packers, who
even the Packers too, because the Packers under Aaron Rodgers have only been to 1 Super Bowl, and they won it, thank God. But I mean that was 10 years ago, so at least there's 3/4 odds that it's a new team, and even if it is the Chiefs again, it's still kind of happy for them because it's like, all right, you won your Super Bowl last year for the first one in like 50 years, and it's, now if you win like the second and third, it's kind of like the Patriots, kind of like, all right, let's kind of get something new.
Exactly. That's what. Yeah. I think probably if the Chiefs win again this year, then it'll probably be like, all right, come on, like, let's not have another New England dynasty about to happen in the AFC.
Which definitely could happen, Joe. But let's hop into talking about the game specifically now. The first one on the day, we got the Buccaneers, as we said, at the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. The Packers are a 3-point favorite, and the over/under is 51.5. Joe, well, we asked a bunch of our guests. You even asked your lovely fiance, Brooke. 10 of our guests responded, and all 10 are going with the Green Bay Packers in this game. Some bold predictions. Our guest, Mike, he says that Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams are going to have 2 touchdowns, together. Fab says Aaron Jones is going to have under 50 rushing yards and that Brady retires. He picked the Packers, and then he goes, if the Bucks lose, Brady's going to retire. And I was like, that's like the same thing, picking the Packers. Tyler Antonelli, our guest Antonelli of Splain Life Comedy, he says the Packers are going to win 31-27. And then my brother Craig says playoff Lenny is going to have 2 touchdowns, but the Packers are winning. And then also Sawyer of Splain Life Comedy, he predicted the Packers would win 27-17. So we have 10 people on the Packers. Joe, how about yourself, man? Bucks, Packers, what are your thoughts from this game? Brady Rogers, and who is your pick?
Well, I mean, I'm really shocked that all 10 went with the Packers. I mean, I think this is going to be a really good game. This is
Mhm.
going to be a close game. I mean, we got such great matchups on both sides.
Mhm.
You got this Green Bay defense who they've been strong in the secondary but weak against the run. And Brady and all these receivers, this is a good test for both sides. I mean, both the secondary versus receiving core, they match up well. They might be able to slow them down. So then are they able to be successful on the ground? And then on the flip side with the Packers, they've had obviously phenomenal success through the air, and the Bucks are a lot better at defending the run. So, are they going to be able to sell out to stop the pass while still preventing Aaron Jones from then exploiting you? It's a lot of interesting matchups on each side that I really think could go either
Mhm.
way. I'm it's also tough. Like, who do I want to win?
Right.
Because like you said, Aaron Rodgers has only been to one Super Bowl. He is coming off this offseason where they drafted Jordan Love in the first round, and he's been on a tear all season. This is and he's like, it seems like the only player from that Super Bowl team still on the Packers.
Mhm.
So it'd be cool to see a lot of the other guys like Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones get a Super Bowl. And then on the flip side, with Tom Brady, it's Tom Brady. I never when he's on the Patriots, I never wanted to see him win because it's kind of like we're
Right.
talking about with the Chiefs potentially getting to. I don't want to see another dynasty, and like I didn't like that dynasty while I was there. It just gets old. So I normally don't want to see Tom Brady, in the Super Bowl, but now on the Buccaneers, this is a great story. I mean, he goes to a different team. The Patriots have a poor season. The Buccaneers have their best season in years. I mean, and he's having one of his best statistical seasons ever
Mhm.
at 43 years old. And Tampa Bay hosts the Super Bowl. So it's also like, oh, that would be pretty cool for like the Buccaneers to, host the Super Bowl for the first time. Or to have, be able to, be the home team at a Super Bowl. So, I mean, it's tough. I mean, both these teams have a lot to fight for. I think I gotta go with the Packers too, though. I want to pick the
Ooh.
Buccaneers too. I want to pick the Buccaneers just to be different, but it's also half of destiny coming to fruition finally, which I will get to after our next game.
Yes, and I think I know where you might be going on that one, Joe, but I'm with you as well. I'm going with the Packers, and this is the Sunday night football curse when you see everybody picking that one team. Um, and I don't think I was shocked that everybody went with the Packers. I mean, they're playing at an unreal level, and like you said too, with Tom Brady, probably a handful of those picks were like, dude, just anybody but Brady right now. Like, I don't care. Like, like go Packers. Um, if Tom Brady does win, he will tie the elite Joe Flacco with most road playoff wins. So that's one reason why I'm going with the Packers. I don't want Tom Brady to win another road playoff game ever because Joe Flacco is the best and
Of
super
course.
elite. But also it's very hard, like I said, to pick against the Packers right now. Aaron Rodgers is playing absolutely amazing. Not saying Tom Brady isn't, but with that offense, we haven't seen the 400 yards and like 5 touchdowns in the first half to Devontae Adams. But Tom Brady is going slowly and steady, moving the football, have the weapons. It's going to be a tough matchup for the Packers defense for sure, no doubt about it. And the key, I think it's going to come down to tight ends. I mean, both have good secondaries. Both have decent linebacking cores. It's going to be able who can cover Cameron Braid and Rob Gronkowski and who can cover Robert Tonyan. I mean, I think it's going to be a big game for the tight ends.
I mean,
And
I think Devin White and Levante David are pretty good linebackers.
no, no, I'm not saying that they aren't. I'm just saying,
I
that's
like
going to
that.
be a
I like
concern.
that matchup for the
Oh,
Buccaneers
absolutely.
against the
Ab-
Packers
ab-
a little bit more than I like Gronkowski versus whoever's playing linebacker for the Packers.
oh, correct. But I think it's going to come down to the tight ends because everybody's going to focus on Devontae Adams. Everybody's going to focus on Evans and Godwin
Right.
and all that stuff. So it could be a big, in between the numbers type of game offensively for both teams. But yeah, I'm going with the Packers. I had something else in my head that I just can't think of right now. Um, oh yeah, when they played the first time, Buccaneers blew them out. But people forget that the Packers went up 10-0, pick six, basically 2 pick sixes back to back, made it 14 to
Right.
10 like that, and then it was all over from there. So again, like I said with Titans, it's going to be a turnover battle as well. I mean, last week, if the Buccaneers don't get those interceptions or that fumble recovery, they're probably losing that game to the Saints, and the Packers are going to beat the Saints by 50 in the NFC Championship game. So it's going to come down to turnovers again, and I think that's going to be the key again for the Buccaneers to win. Not saying that they need to give Brady a short field, but it would be very helpful if they did.
Right.
And that's what I think is going to come down to. So the Packers are representing the NFC in the Super Bowl, Joe, and now it's time for the AFC Championship game. We have the Buffalo Bills at the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are also a 3-point favorite like the Packers, and this over-under is at 54. And our guest, we had 8 going with the Chiefs, 2 going with the Bills, but 2 of the 8 Chiefs picks said that if Mahomes is out, they will switch to the Bills. So if Mahomes is out, it's 4-4. It's even.
It's also James also said that.
Yeah, I think he was one of the 2 people who said that. Mike, our guest Mike says that the Bills are going to win. He picked the Bills. He said Diggs will have 100+ yards and 2 touchdowns. And then for the Chiefs, our guest Tyler Antonelli of Explain Life Comedy, he is a Chiefs fan. He says that the Chiefs will win by a score of 50-7, and his bold prediction is that the Chiefs defense will score more than the Bills offense. Of course, he said write it in stone, so he's very confident with that. And then Sawyer of Explain Life Comedy has a score of 31-17. And Joe, my big question for you is, like I said, 2 of our 8 saying that they would go from the Chiefs to the Bills if Mahomes is out. And in your eyes, is that a big factor, or would you still probably go with the Chiefs if Chad Henne is the quarterback?
I mean, it's a huge factor for sure. But for me, I think I would still go with Chad Henne and the Chiefs one way or the other. I mean, you know, this offense has so many weapons, but this defense is well equipped. You know, they've got a lot of speed, like we saw last week on display against Baltimore. You know, they've got a lot of speed, and you know, they might be able to slow down some of these weapons that the Chiefs have to a degree, especially if it is Chad Henne in there. But I mean, in the playoffs last year, that's when the Chiefs defense really stepped it up. Steve Spagnuolo, he knows how to get these guys going, get Tyrann Mathieu moving around and making plays. I really think that they're going to be able to find a way to rattle Josh Allen and, you know, definitely force some turnovers in this game. I think that's going to be key. And I think that's the key on the other side. Especially if it is Chad Henne, you know, if he's just able to manage the game, which I think he'll do a better job at if he's, you know, getting all these reps going into it, you know, which we've seen a little bit of a split now since it looks like Mahomes is on track and took all the reps that he could, at least in I know yesterday's practice. So, you know, we'll see how that goes, but I'm going with the Chiefs one way or the other in this game. Andy Reid and you know, Kansas City, they've just been on a tear, and this is when they just pull out all the stops. So I really think that they're going to be able to, you know, slow down that Bills offense, which does have the potential to go off at any given point. But, you know, it is kind of a one-man show with Stephon Diggs. If you can take Stephon Diggs out of the equation and keep Josh Allen from scrambling and, you know, creating time in the pocket, this defense can make some plays and slow them down, and this offense can be stopped because they can't run the ball. I mean, they don't really try to that hard, but they really aren't that well equipped to run the ball. I mean, it's Devin Singletary and Devontae Freeman. You know, doesn't scare anyone. So, yeah, I'm going with the Chiefs. I feel good about it, and that means in the Super Bowl, one way or the other, Mahomes will be back, and we will finally get the State Farm Bowl that the people deserve. And that is what will happen. You can write that in stone. I'm so excited. We deserved it last year. We were forced to watch Jimmy Garoppolo just overthrow wide open receivers in the end zone when we know Aaron Rodgers is going to be dropping dimes and force Patrick Mahomes to, you know, up his game even more. You know, I just want to see points, like touchdown every drive. And that's what we're going to get in the Super Bowl. And I cannot wait. I'm speaking it into existence, Timmy B.
And we missed on it 2 years ago with Mahomes in their first year, one offsides penalty away from the Super Bowl and the Saints. We all know what happened with the Saints, but that was back when the Saints offense was really electric, and that's what people were expecting as well, was just bing, bang, boom, Saints, Chiefs type of game. And yeah, you said it, Joe. The Bills can't run the ball. They ran one designed run play in the first half. I think Josh Allen had one scramble run, and then they actually ran the ball once and threw 17 or 18 times on their 21st half plays or so last week against the Ravens. And then you said it too. I think that the key is for the Chiefs defensively is Steve Spagnuolo. He'll get creative with everything. I mean, the Ravens, like we said in our recap, they only gave up 10 offensive points, probably 13 or 16 if they make those field goals, but still holding that offense to under 20 points is huge. And that's what the thing was going into the game, was that Josh Allen is so good against the blitz, and the Ravens love to blitz. So it was like, how can we get creative with our blitz? And that's exactly what Steve Spagnuolo is going to do. He's going to look at our game, then he's going to, add on to the creativity to that, show some of those looks and get creative with those blitzes. And when you have a guy like Tyrann Mathieu, you can easily do that. You can easily blitz him from anywhere. So it's going to be fun for that. And then I'm with you, Joe. Obviously, it is a huge factor with Mahomes out. I'm not saying that it's not, but Chad Henne, I mean, as we've seen, like, the Chiefs had a pretty good offense even a couple of years ago when Alex Smith was the quarterback before, going to the playoffs, winning the division. So it's an Andy Reid offense. It's hard, even with Chad Henne as the quarterback, if he is the quarterback. I mean, you still have Hill, you still have Kelsey, you still have Edwards-Helaire, Le'Veon Bell, Mecole Hardman, Sammy. You have all these weapons offensively. So Andy Reid is going to get creative. And if he is the quarterback, I wouldn't be surprised if, they kind of take their time, do 8-minute drives, keep the ball out of Josh Allen's hands, run the ball, eat that clock, win this game like 24-10, 24-13, because Mahomes will be back for the Super Bowl. I think that goes without saying. He will be back. I mean, 2 weeks away. So I'm going with the Chiefs as well. I mean, and Mahomes is playing, and Bills, it's going to be fun. Either team who wins, as long as the Packers win, in my eyes, it's going to be a fun Super Bowl, fun offensive Super Bowl. I mean, you have the Packers, Chiefs, Rodgers, Mahomes, the State Farm Bowl. It's going to be great, especially red and green. And then even if the Bills win, you have like this green and yellow versus like blue and like light red. So it's color-wise, it's going to be great. So I'm going with the Chiefs as well, and that sets up the State Farm Bowl that not the people won. They won the Super Bowl. They need the Super Bowl. They deserve this Super Bowl, especially, I mean, Rodgers is 36, 37. He, not saying he's old because we see 43-year-old Tom Brady, but, there won't be too many more opportunities for a Rodgers Mahomes, especially in the Super Bowl, because it's so hard to get to the Super Bowl. So this feels really good. I feel really good with our picks. I think we picked together on every single playoff game so far, Joe, which is a little bit interesting, but hey, that'll do it. Only 2 games to talk about, Joe. Any final words before these 2 games to determine who is in the Super Bowl?
That's all I really got, Tim. I mean, like I said, I'd be all right with the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. Like, I won't be mad. Like, I don't want the Bills in the Super Bowl. I don't want that. I don't want Buffalo. Yeah.
Why not?
No, I don't want to get into it. I just don't like the city of Buffalo.
I had a great time when I was at Buffalo Bills Mafia.
It's more a couple people I know from Buffalo, but that'll be it. So
hey,
let's go Chiefs.
say less, my guy. Say less. But yeah, that's going to do it for our episode. Tune in to the middle of next week where we recap, and then I guess we have a couple of weeks, so we'll get creative with some episode between then and the Super Bowl before we do our official Super Bowl picks and everything. So we'll talk that with Joe. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Really do appreciate all the love that you guys are giving us so far, and continue the love, baby. But that's really all I got, Joe. I mean, have a great day, guys. Enjoy these final two games of football before the Super Bowl, and we will see you in the middle of next week. Peace.